There is a sentence that should stop you cold. A woman over 40 is now more likely to give birth in America than a teenage girl. Not more educated, not more powerful, not more represented on television, more likely to give birth. For the first time in modern U.S. history, this line has been crossed. Quietly, clinically logged in the CDC report. No sirens, no breaking news banner, no national moment of reflection. But make no mistake, this is not just a statistic. This is a civilizational signal. It tells us something fundamental has shifted about time, about risk, about fear, about what it now takes to feel ready to bring a human being into this world. Tonight, we are going to talk about the end of an era, the slow disappearance of youth from parenthood, and the rise of a new kind of mother, older, wiser, more stable, and far more afraid. This is not a story about fertility. It's a story about pressure. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, births to women over the age of 40 have officially surpassed births to teenagers under 20. Teen pregnancy, once a defining social panic of the late 20th century, has collapsed to historic lows. At the same time, births among women in their early 40s have steadily climbed year after year. Overall birth rates are still near record lows. America is not having more children, it is delaying them, stretching parenthood to the very edge of biology. This is not an accident. This is not random. This is not just progress. It is the cumulative outcome of decades of economic anxiety, cultural messaging, medical intervention, and quiet dread. There was a time when teenage motherhood was common, not idealized and not encouraged, but normal. Then came the campaigns, the warnings, the stigma, the billboards that said, "You'll ruin your life." And in many years, they worked. Access to contraception expanded, sex education improved, opportunities widened. Teen birth rates didn't just decline, they collapsed. Fewer teenagers forced into adult responsibilities before adulthood began. But victories always have shadows. Teenagers didn't just stop having children, they internalized the message. You are not ready. You cannot afford this. You will fail. And that message didn't stop at 20. Modern motherhood comes with a checklist. Education, career, savings, health insurance, stable housing, emotional maturity, the right partner, the right timing. Parenthood is no longer something you grow into. It is something you must qualify for. Women are told explicitly and implicitly to wait until everything is in place. And so they do. They wait through their 20s. They wait through their 30s. They wait through layoffs, pandemics, student debt, housing crisis, unstable relationships, and impossible expectations until one day time stops waiting back. Here's the cruel irony. Just as society demands more stability, biology offers less margin for error. Fertility declines, risks rise, pregnancies become medically complex, the stakes increase, and yet medical technology steps in. IVF, egg freezing, advanced prenatal care. We have engineered a narrow bridge across a biological cliff, and women are being told to walk it calmly, professionally, gracefully. This is progress, yes, but it is also pressure. Because when pregnancy becomes medically possible later in life, it also becomes morally expected. Experts call this intentional family planning, and that sounds beautiful. But let's be honest, how much of this is intention and how much is fear? Fear of poverty, fear of instability, fear of becoming your parents, fear of doing it wrong. In a society where everything is optimized, parenthood has become a high-stakes investment decision, and many people simply opt out. This story is told almost entirely through women's bodies, but men are here too. Delayed commitment, delayed partnership, delayed responsibility. The age of first-time fathers has risen alongside mothers. This is not just about women waiting. It is about a generation hesitating, and hesitation over decades becomes a demographic shift. Children born to older parents grow up differently. They inherit stability, but they also inherit fragility. Older parents mean fewer siblings, smaller families, thinner generational overlap. Grandparents disappear sooner. Support networks shrink. The margin for collective care narrows. This is not doom, but it is consequence. Here is the question no one wants to ask. Have we built a world where having children young is no longer survivable, and having them late is barely manageable? If parenthood requires perfection, most people will never attempt it, and the ones who do will do it alone, exhausted, and under surveillance. Now, let's talk about the woman over 40. She is not reckless. She is not selfish. She is not late. She is the logical outcome of the system we designed. Educated, cautious, financially aware, emotionally prepared, and quietly racing against the clock no spreadsheet can stop. She's not a symbol of empowerment or decline. She is evidence. When historians look back at this moment, they may not remember the exact numbers, but they will remember the feeling. A society holding its breath, waiting for certainty that never comes, delaying life until life nearly passes. This is not a story about teenagers disappearing from motherhood. It is a story about adulthood becoming unreachable. And the question is not whether women over 40 can have children. The question is why it now takes 40 years to feel allowed to try. If this video unsettled you, good. If it made you think, even better. Because demographic shifts don't announce themselves loudly. They whisper.